Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today I am really excited. Today I'm going to do a collaboration video. It's my first collaboration video, and it's with Jess with Roots and Refuge. Now, if none of you have heard who Jess is, I will link one of her videos above, and I'll link her information down below. But she is a YouTuber who has a homesteading YouTube channel, and I really love her outlook on life and how she kind of does her videos. Now, Jess is very relaxed, it seems like, in her gardening and what she does in her homesteading, yet she gets a lot accomplished and she gives herself grace when things don't turn out exactly the way she wants to. And she grows an awful lot of food. I really love her videos. But in a couple of her videos, she introduced the concept of us possibly starting to lose the ability to have credible resources. Now, in the first video that she did, she referenced AI. Now, AI is artificial intelligence, and it's a program, there's several different programs now, but it's the ability for regular people to go online and use artificial intelligence to create content. You can create blogs, you can create videos, and it actually works quite well. Now, the way it works is it will actually go online and troll through all the information online and bring out information according to the prompts that you add. Now, it doesn't fact check that information. It doesn't look if it's actual credible information. It doesn't give sources for that information. Now, that's just a little bit about what AI is. I'm not going to go any more into it because that's not what this video is about. It can be incredibly useful, and on the other hand, it can take away the chance to actually have credible resources. It can give you false information. And actually, there are books that are being written now completely through AI. And it's really hard to know if you don't have a background in whatever that book is about. It's really difficult to know whether or not that information is credible and accurate. So in the second video that Jess did, she offered out an invitation to content creators to share their favorite credible resources. Now, I have some books here that I want to share, but I first wanted to introduce myself in case you don't know who I am and tell you a little bit more about myself so you can understand why I chose the books that I did. Now, I am a graduate from Brigham Young University, and I graduated in landscape management. They have an excellent landscape program there. And after that, I started my own landscape maintenance company. So for 5 years, I had crews, and we took care of high-end residential properties. And now I'm a landscape designer that focuses on edible and water-wise landscapes. Now, outside of the professional world, I have actually done edible landscapes since the early 90s. And that's going to bring you to some of the books that I decided to choose. Now, this book right here, and I don't know how well you can see it on the video, I'll take a good picture of it. Now, this book is called Edible Landscaping, and it's by Rosalind, Creasy, and this is one of the first books that I found. Now, when I lived in Southern California when I was young, my ex-husband now, but husband at the time, had bought a property before we got married. It was a tiny little property in Southern California with excellent bones out in the yard. There was plenty of room to start my own landscape, and I was really excited to do so. I started out with tomatoes, and then by the time I was done, almost my entire property was landscaped out with edible plants. I had this weird idea that anything that I planted needed to have a use, either bring in beneficials, have a scent, or be edible. Now, I learned a lot of the principles that I use there and a lot of the principles that I use here on my property through this book. Now, the reason I love this book so much is, number one, the author, sorry about the barking dog in the background, this is what we get in an urban property, but the author, Rosalind Creasy, is a university graduate in horticulture, and she's a landscape designer. And she had the same thoughts as I did, that any plants that she wanted to plant needed to be useful and bring benefit to her and her property. Now, this is a very comprehensive book. It covers everything you need to know. Now, this one was written in, I think it was 1987, if I'm correct. And she has an updated version that was published in 2010. Now, both of these books together work beautifully. They have just about every bit of information you need to have to be able to start an edible landscape. So I wanted to cover some of the chapter headings so that you could know what's in this book and why it's so useful. One of the first things they cover in the first chapter is motives. Why do you want to do edible landscaping? That's really, really important. Then they cover water conservation and soil conservation, fertilizers, how to mulches, and how to use each one of these things and why they're important to your edible landscape. And she takes a very balanced approach. She doesn't go very conservative. It's not 100% organic, and it doesn't really focus on using synthetic chemicals either. It's a balanced approach that you can take no matter what your approach is. She also talks a lot about proper design principles, especially in her updated version. Her updated version covers design principles beautifully. Now, one thing that I love about this book is her gallery of design ideas. She has a ton of wonderful ideas on how to design with edibles. And in both of these books, she has a comprehensive encyclopedia of edible plants that can be used in an edible landscape. So these books are absolutely wonderful. Incredible resource, and I highly recommend this if you're a beginning gardener and want to have all the information that you need in one spot. Now, the next book that I wanted to highlight is one that is not particularly about edibles, but it is very specific to the Intermountain West. Now, wherever you live, there's going to be specifics about your property that don't apply elsewhere in the country. A lot of what we learned here in the West Coast is about how to grow plants on the East Coast. But this book is by university professors from Utah State University that focus on the Intermountain West and focus on water-wise landscape. So this book is called Landscaping on the New Frontier, Water-Wise Designs for the Intermountain West. And it talks a lot about irrigation. If you want to know anything about irrigation, this book is your go-to book for the Intermountain West. It talks about how to put irrigation together, why it's important, and how to make it water-wise. It also talks a lot about rainwater harvesting and the various methods you can do that to help on your property. And it also has a comprehensive list of plants that are water-wise that could be used in the Intermountain West. Now, what I like to do is to take the information from both these books, marry them together, and use them both together. So for example, there are plenty of water-wise edibles that you can use using the principles laid out in this book. So you can create a water-wise edible landscape using the information out of both of these books. So that's why I would like to recommend these. Now, the last book that I would like to recommend is this book. It's Grow a Little Fruit Tree by Anne Ralph, and it talks comprehensively about how you can keep your fruit trees small. Now, one of the main reasons I love this book is I actually learned these principles from the same person that Anne Ralph learned them from. I actually took a class in Southern California from Ed Laivo in San Luis Obispo, and we got to actually go to one of his test orchards and look at the fruit trees that he's been keeping small as he talked about the principles of how he did it and why he did it. Now, I learned that, I think it was 1995, I think was when I took that class, and I have been growing my fruit trees that way ever since. I've done it in Southern California, and I've done it here in Utah, and I've done it with everything from citrus to avocados, apples, peaches. The only one that is really difficult to keep small are the cherry trees, the full-size cherry trees. They tend to like to be tall, but instead of letting them get 40 feet tall, I keep mine at 12 feet tall. So, Grow a Little Fruit Tree, excellent book, very good, credible information on how to keep your fruit trees small. And I think this book is a necessity if you want to grow fruit trees. So that's it. Those are the books that I recommend, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the books that other people recommend. Books are an amazing resource when it comes to homesteading and edible landscaping and all things gardening. Now, before I leave, what I'd like to do is just kind of give you a quick tour of my backyard. I won't be talking. I'll just put a little list on each plant as I show them so that you can know what they are. In my landscape, probably I say anywhere between 50 and 70% of the plants here are edible or useful and medicinal. So I landscape with a lot of herbs, a lot of fruit trees. We have nut trees, we have vegetables, and they're scattered all throughout my property. So I hope you enjoy this tour of my property, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoy my videos, I hope you like, subscribe, share with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden-wise adventure.